and you're welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another film review, and this film is a horror movie which came out in 2024. It is called Abigail, and I am going to be honest, it isn't really a horror movie, and I wouldn't personally consider it a horror movie, but it is still a really good movie. And I know it's not Spooky Month anymore. Spooky Month was last month. I know that, and that still doesn't mean we can't watch spooky movies. Spooky is for the entire year. Spooky Month is not just a month, it is a mindset, and you can watch horror movies all year round. So that's what we are going to be doing for the next couple of months. We're going to be continuing horror month, spooky month, over the course of November as well, with a couple more horror movies, because I know some of you will be in that little bit of November sadness and you'll want something to look forward to or tide you over till that Christmas feeling. So without any further delay, let's get into what Google has to say. Abigail is a horror thriller which is 1 hour and 49 minutes, and it came out in 2024. It has a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3.1 out of 5 on Letterboxd. You can watch this on Amazon Prime, Google Play, and also YouTube. And the story starts when a group of would-be criminals kidnap the 12-year-old daughter of the powerful underworld figure, holding her for ransom in an isolated mansion. Their plan starts to unravel when they discover their young captive is actually a bloodthirsty vampire. Now, that is a very dangerous plot. That is a very dangerous, thing to do. It's not the most ideal thing to sort of do on your Saturday night, but this guy brings together these sort of criminals. He brings together the most wanted people ever, the most sort of highly recommended criminals. We have the getaway driver, we have the hacker, we have the muscle, we have the brains, and we have the sort of leader, the glue that holds the team together. And these 5 sort of members just chill in the house. All they gotta do is survive 24 hours in this house, and they'll get 15,500 each, which is a lot of fucking money. That is a lot of moolah, a lot of dollary dues. And they're all chilling. The main girl decides to go up and talk to the girl, like, hey, how you doing? You doing all right? And she takes the blindfold off. She sits her up nicely, and the girl starts to drop subtle little hints that her dad's like a very powerful man, and it does shake her up a little bit. So she goes to talk to the brains of the group, the brains of the operation. He's like, yo, do you know who the dad is? Like, I don't care who the dad is, but like apparently that's a real powerful dude. So then he goes and talks to the girl, and he figures out who the dad is, and he says he's gonna leave. He doesn't. They stay because the money is worth it, the risk is worth it. I don't think they'll be saying that by the end of the movie, is all I'm saying, because she starts to pin them against each other. She gnaws off one of their heads, the drug addict's head. Gnawed off. He's the getaway driver, the comedy relief, gone straight off the bat. The next one to go is the gunsman, the intelligence. He's gone, and then that just leaves 4. And these 4 are at each other's throats, arguing over like, hey, who the fuck are you? Are you who you say you are? Are you the killer? Are you killing us all? Why did you kill these 2? Like, what the fuck? And then they go into the little girl's room, and she reveals that she's a vampire. She chases them around a little bit. She starts doing ballet with the dead body, and they're getting garlic, making steaks. They go and attack her. They escape injured, very injured, and then they go off, they split up, and they go to find her. One of the girls ends up in a pool of dead bodies. It's disgusting, it's gross, and then she gets bit. They all fight her, they trank her, they put her in a cage. She breaks out of the cage, and they basically hide in the daylight. They find a secret room in the mansion, and the other 2 end up dying because they go off to try and sort of short circuit, the outside, the sort of mechanism keeping them trapped inside the house. The brains of the operation gets turned into a vampire by the father, or by the guy who paid them to come here, or the guy that gave him the job. She then tries to escape because Abigail breaks in. Both vampires fight. Abigail teams up with the main girl, and they fight the brains who turned into a vampire and kill him. The dad comes in, starts scrapping with Abigail, and Abigail basically makes her dad stop killing the main girl so that she can leave. That's the story, gotta be honest. I don't feel like it was a horror because you knew what was happening, like you knew the girl was a vampire. It was more of a like action movie, it was more of like a sort of slasher movie because you know what the villain was. It wasn't scary, there wasn't many jump scares, there wasn't many twists or turns, there wasn't those sort of stereotypical horror movie sort of camera angles where it leaves stuff to the imagination, where it leaves sort of stuff in the foreground, and stuff for you to see that the people don't see. It just didn't have all those sort of normal horror movie sort of things that make them scary, that build the suspense, that build the drama. With this, it kind of just felt like action after action after action, where Abigail would come and hunt them down, they would go and hunt Abigail down, they would fight, they would get away, one of them would die. They would do the same thing again, Abigail would hunt them, they hunt Abigail, they fight, one of them dies, the rest of them get away. And it was slowly just picking off like the members one by one by one. They all died in absolutely awful ways. Two of them had their like necks chewed off, one of them had their face chewed off, and I do believe one of them turned into a vampire, got exploded by the sun, and the other one got turned into a vampire and exploded by the sun. So only one actually escaped, and I was quite upset by that because I did quite like the hacker girl. I thought she was like one of the best out of the movie, so I was quite disappointed and upset when she did inevitably get turned into a vampire after being bit and then exploded by daylight. Apparently daylight just explodes a vampire, like there's no burning, no nothing, so I thought that was a pretty creative twist on vampires. Instead of it like burning them and sort of like decaying their flesh, turning into like ash and dust, it just explodes that body part that touches the sunlight. Because when Abigail was attacking the sort of brains of the operation, her arm went into sunlight and it just completely fucking blew off. Like her arm just exploded, and that's more of like an instant thing instead of it sort of slowly decaying and turning into dust over time like it would normally in sort of most monster movies with vampires in. It just went kaboom, just exploded, just out of the blue, just gone. And that was a little bit of a shock, a little bit of a catch me off guard moment because I did not expect her to explode like that. And I think that's where it gets its sort of charm from, because the child actor was really good. Like, she played the evil villain role extremely fucking well, and she played it maybe even better than some of the villains that I've seen recently in most movies. They are an incredible actor and they will go far in this sort of space, in this job area. I don't know what to call it, job market, I guess. But there is some really high quality actors here, but I felt like all the characters were very stereotypical, all very one note, where the hacker girl didn't really do much. She was like the rich kid, she was like very sarcastic, and like she didn't do much other than add some sarcasm to the mix. We had the dumb muscle, you know, like the one that's strong but stupid, just being dumb the entire movie, and yeah, that's fun, that's fine, that gives some comedy relief, that sort of breaks the tension. But when you have people like that are making jokes and cracking jokes and being silly and goofy when their lives are on the line, it sort of adds this level of like unrealistic sort of expectations for if they did find, like if actual people found themselves in this situation, they wouldn't be doing this stuff. They would be taking more care and more consideration into what actually was happening. I mean, fair enough, maybe one or two of them would be cracking jokes, but not like 4 or 5 of them. Like, it was a good majority of them that was cracking jokes and sort of laughing around and goofing off and sort of not taking it as seriously as what they could have done. And I feel like that's where the movie sort of falls flat. It's like on the character sort of, you know, the character arcs, the character descriptions, like, you know, the fleshing out these characters before they got like unfleshed by like the monster. You know, just give them a little bit more of a characteristics, give them a little bit more than just arrogant, funny, sarcastic. You know, like, give them a little bit of something, a little bit of like backstory, a little bit of a motive. The only character that got that was the main girl that ended up surviving. Oh, because she left her son with her shitty, like with the shitty father, and she felt like she wasn't good enough to raise him, and that was her entire character arc. Like, getting to sort of have the confidence to go see her son again, but we never actually get to see that. We never get to see the outcome of her character arc. So for all we know, she could have like relapsed and just gone straight back into not seeing him and just gone straight back into not doing this, that, and the other. But majority of the time, near-death experiences, like very traumatic experiences, will cause people to change, will sort of give people a second chance to see how good life is, to see how exciting it is. So she probably did go and see the sun, but still it doesn't give us that information, so it is still left up for interpretation. The set design of the house was pretty cool. It was very sort of rustic, but also modern at the same time. There was a lot of modern features with like the locks and the sort of shutting down of the house with the gates, the sort of window locks, and everything else that was about, like all of it like shut down the house very nicely, but it was all very sort of old-timey and like rustic on the inside with like deer heads on the wall, like very old furniture, old sort of designs for kitchens and staircases, and it just looked very grand, very rich, very sort of out there. And they ended up destroying fucking half of it in like their battles and brawls. Also, the swimming pool of dead bodies was really fucking gross, and that was the worst part of the movie for me because I knew what that shit felt like. For whatever reason, I saw her fall in it, and I pictured myself in it, and it started to like cringe, like my entire body. It curled my toes and my fingers, not because it was the dead bodies inside, because like the gross stuff was on her, the gross stuff was touching her, and she couldn't clean herself, and she couldn't get it off for like the rest of the movie. That it made me feel dirty, gross, and disgusting, because I knew like it was slimy, it had bits in it, and it would crust to you. Like when it dried, it would go all crusty, and like it would crack, and you would feel it, and it just I don't like it. It makes me feel gross and weird and disgusting, and it's just not right. It's not right. It's making my toes curl now just thinking about it. But I don't think it succeeds as a horror movie. I think it is much more of a thriller action movie, and I think it just acts on vampires in a much different way, in a much creative way. So for that, I am going to have to give it like a 6 out of 10. But other than that, bye-bye.